You are tuning in to the Cigar Guys Podcast, where aficionados and newcomers alike gather to explore the vast cigar universe. Meet your host, Alexander Gonzalez, Mark Nikolai, his big little brother Zachary Nikolai, and Jared Burrows. So sit back, light up, and let's get the conversation started. But first, a quick word from our sponsors.
Great premium cigars require the maker to be patient, precise, and diligent in order for that cigar to perform well. We should hold our humidors to the same standard that we hold our cigars. This humidor by Boveda is exactly that. It is designed specifically for your favorite cigars. We on the podcast smoke Samparai, which require delicate and precise attention to detail when caring for these cigars and storing them long term. And that is why we trust the leader in premium cigar humidification to take care of these cigars for us. Introducing the new Boveda Humidor. For my humidor, I use Boveda. But now, that actually has a slightly different meaning, and we're going to talk about that today. But of course, myself, Alex is here, Mark is here, Zach, Jared are here, and we have some special guests. We have Sean, and we have Tim from Boveda. How are you guys doing?
Greetings, and we're doing spectacular.
Yeah, doing excellent. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for joining us. We're excited to talk about something that is brand new to the market as of a few days ago. And I want you guys to go ahead and, first of all, share what you're smoking with us. Sean, we'll start with you.
Okay, I'm smoking a Fuente Opus X, and I'm smoking the Dubai edition. And this is the first time Tim and I both have these cigars.
Wow.
But this is the first time I've lit it up. And I must say, it's a very nice, awesome, complex, a little more mellow, I would say, than the standard Opus, the traditional line, but very awesome. Very good. Draws great, everything. Love it.
Yeah, I chose to light up a Fuente Opus X, the Forbidden X. So it's got the 13 on it. This was a cigar that provided to some of the guests at my daughter's wedding. So it's a special.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, that is a very special cigar for sure. Not one that we've been privileged to try yet, but I'm sure at some point in our career we will. I've heard great things about it, so definitely enjoy those cigars. Zach, real quick, what are you smoking?
Smoking the Bentley cigar.
Okay.
Very good. Very delicious.
Jared.
I'm smoking the Brick House Classic Churchill. I also have a Bentley as well. I just didn't want to smoke the exact same thing Zach is doing.
It's all right. I know you like copying me, so.
Yeah, not today.
What about you, Mark?
Today I got the Samparai Red.
Very nice. Samparai.
Very nice.
Samparai has a deal going on with Boveda. They have all their boxes with Boveda packs in there, so they stay fresh. And I'm smoking the Besa cigar today, the Besa Habano. So a bunch of great cigars all around. Of course, Boveda is the one that's keeping them all together, keeping them fresh. But I want to... Actually, also, we're drinking today, so let's go ahead and talk about that. Sean, what are you drinking?
Drinking a Speyside Scotch that I had, and I thought I had a whole bunch of it in the. I thought it was a new bottle, but I noticed there's only just a little bit left on the end. It's an 18-year. I don't even know how to pronounce it. Shieldag.
Oh, I never heard of that.
Wow.
18. I've never heard either. Smooth, real nice Scotch.
You might end up finishing it tonight too.
Didn't know how to pronounce it, but you drank.
Yeah.
Yeah, one too many late nights, apparently.
No, when guests come, we do a little pour and have a cigar together, and so
It's okay. Yeah, blame it on the guests. It's okay.
or Tim. I don't know. I'm not always in the office here at the same time, but
You can't prove that.
Have to check the camera roll.
And then we are enjoying some Doc Holiday. This is the 10-year barrel aged. So we're having some of that with our cigars as well. But I'm not going to keep talking too much about what we're doing because we've got something very special to take a look at here. It's sitting right here on the desk. And I'm going to go ahead and let you guys just go ahead and kind of give an introduction to what we're looking at right now.
Yeah, you're looking at the, well, first of all, let me just back up a little bit. We made a humidor years ago, and we stopped and we got out of that business. We wanted to have all humidor manufacturers really use Boveda. We weren't interested necessarily at the time when we started the brand Boveda. But over the years, we just recognized a void. Our goal is to make humidors as easy to use as possible and take all that guesswork out of it. And we've accomplished that quite a bit. I think that's been a successful thing for us. And if you don't have to think about how you control the humidity in there and you know it's always going to be good, the cigars have an opportunity to blossom and improve with age rather than degrade over time. But that simplicity thing was really important to us. So a couple of years ago, knowing that there are too many humidors out there that are shipped and sold without Boveda on the inside, we didn't like that very much. And we saw an opportunity to say, you know what, let's make it even easier. Because the truth is, we're easier than a refillable element or a refillable device in a humidor, but every humidor is so different. And how many Boveda packets do you put inside the humidor and how long do they last? And there's so many differences between the types and models of humidor. And we wanted to create more of a standard out there. And so we saw a need also where to accomplish that, to simplify it even more so it's bulletproof. But also we recognize that, there are no humidor brands that are highly recognizable in a masses point of view that are priced right. So you have LE Blue, you have Daniel Marshall, maybe higher priced, you have Rizard, great humidor, all those are fine humidors. But for the masses, something that's built that works just as well as those humidors that I mentioned, and it's dialed in, it's going to work. So on the front side, our goal is to just take all that guesswork out. Boveda lasts 6 months inside that humidor on your desk. When we designed it, we're not going to make a bunch of designs. There's only one design and that's it. And Boveda in Spanish means vault. And so if you close the lid, you look at the top, there's a slight curvature, there's a little vaulting on the top of the lid from the left to the right. And that same vault is on the bottom as well. There's a vault there. And then there's a floating platform that elevates it up. And that's the Boveda humidor design. So we're not going to change that. It's one size, one style, one look, one color. You can have any color you want as long as it's Macassar ebony. I mean, that's what it is. And the identifying mark on the side is powered by Boveda, that silver seal there. It's embossed, but that's an indicator, that's the Boveda humidor. And so we went 2 years really through design, trying to select the right manufacturer worldwide. It took us a long time to find that. Then we went through a lot of iterations and prototypes for performance, construction. What Boveda do we want to put in there to power it? Our goal is to say, let's make it a 6-month humidor before you have to replace it. We wanted to also make it not too big, not too small, but kind of just right for the masses as well. So we call it a 50 count. You can put more than 50 cigars in there, depending on the size. If they're all Churchills, it's going to be a little bit less than that, maybe around 36 or 40, right in that range. So those are some of the high-level elements that we wanted. And ultimately, one final note as our goal when we created that humidor, we like the nostalgia of what a desktop humidor brings to a cigar person, whether you're an aficionado or whether you're just a casual cigar smoker. But the whole cigar culture in our mind has a romance to it. And so we're not opposed to plastic. We sell humidor bags. Tupperware and all those things are different. And people use those things because of the simplicity of them. But what you lose in that simplicity, you lose in the beauty and the artistic part of it. And so we wanted to create a wood humidor that allowed cigars to age properly, but also had the level of simplicity that a Tupperware or a plastic container or a rigid armored style humidor would have. And so those were the what we wanted to accomplish: beauty, but yet perform with the ease of a plastic container, in essence.
No, very nice. And one of the first things that I noticed is the seal on there is extremely great, which I imagine is adding to the fact that the Boveda packs in your cigars will last 6 months before a change. Because I mean, obviously, great seal is important. Even sometimes it's a little like you got to give it some effort to open up if you're not using the handle here, which is a good thing. We want to keep the cigars or the air from escaping too quickly, trapping that humidity in there. So and yeah, I mean, no glass top. Obviously, you guys as experts in humidification, you know that the glass top is going to put a damper on keeping the humidity in there.
Yeah, plus light isn't always its friend, the cigar's friend. But one of the other things that's really important when you look at a wooden humidor, the value of a wooden humidor is significantly greater than plastic in terms of aging, because when you age cigars, you do want over time a real gradual and slow air exchange that happens with the outside. So that is a condition, a requirement, let's say, for properly aging cigars. So there's a balance that you want to accomplish, and so we did that. There are many other elements that I haven't mentioned that we wanted to make sure we built into this humidor. Despite the affordability of it, that we believe the price point of it's really good. It's not the least expensive humidor out there by any stretch of the imagination, but a lot of the design elements that we took our time with to concentrate on, although seem minor, are all modeled after some of those $2,000 humidors and so on. Just little details that we think really offer the value that's far greater than what the price point is.
And what is the price point for the viewers that don't know exactly what it costs yet?
Yeah, $299. So we think that it's accessible for and approachable for a lot of people, whether you're new into cigars or you're an aficionado that might own multiple other humidors. So the idea behind it was that it's again, accessible to anybody that is enjoying the hobby of smoking cigars. So the elegance of it, as Sean said, there's precision built into it, but there's also an element of elegance that fits in most people's homes, whether contemporary or more traditional. I think it kind of fits both of those style requirements.
No, absolutely. And I think at the end of the day, too, the most important part with your humidor is just how well it actually works. I mean, you can get, at the end of the day, a humidor that looks beautiful, but if it's not keeping your cigars properly humidified, you're going to get pissed at the end of the day because that's not doing its job.
Yeah, and that's what we've found is, I mean, there's so many humidors that are being made that are, $50 to $150. Some of them look really nice, but they don't perform well. And so that was the goal behind it, was to, have that precision with elegance. And that, makes it pretty meaningful for everybody. Because at the end of the day, when you do pull a cigar out of humidor, you want to be able to enjoy that. You don't want to have the problems with over-humidification or under-humidification. And the cigar needs to perform, right, for you to enjoy that. Just the way the cigar maker intended it to be, that's what we deliver.
Yeah, especially if you're smoking something like what you guys are smoking right now. The last thing you want to do is pull out that Opus X and have it too dry or have tunneling issues.
You can load this with Boveda, go on vacation for 6 months, come back, and those are going to be in great shape. And depending on what part of the country, and it's probably going to last longer than the 6 months before you have to replace it.
Yeah, I know. I was going to say, I know here in Florida, we replace ours a little bit longer than the usual just because, the humidity in the air at like all periods of the year. But
yeah, and that was the goal, was to try and make it perform regardless whether you live in Florida, you live in Arizona, whatever the climate that you live within will dictate a lot of that. And so by designing the humidor properly, we could take out that inconsistency, build in consistency so that people know exactly what they're going to get.
And then two, this is something that I personally haven't seen in a humidor. I'm not sure if there's other brands out there that have done this, but you have the casing for the actual Boveda pack in here, and it's a magnet.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah,
Strong magnet.
I know. I'm doing three things at once. So,
Well, that's a 3. So that's the Boveda 320 size in there. So it's got a lot of filling inside of it. So it's heavy. So we needed rare earth magnets that were strong and powerful that really snap into place for that to work. In there, and by the way, that little square in the front of that grill on the front of the holder is so that you have a way to put your finger in there to test, to see how much life might be left in it.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Without, taking the holder out of its position.
There you go.
And you had mentioned, you haven't seen it with other humidors. Now, we work with other humidor makers that have incorporated Boveda into the humidor. We just try to take it a step further so that it's such a nice fit and finish and elegance to it when you see it, when you open it up. There's something unique and different about the way that it looks. And as Sean said, with the magnets, we want to make sure that it stays up in the top of the lid.
Yeah, I mean,
It's designed, by the way, to be down on the bottom part. So push
You
it.
can push it down.
okay, yeah.
there you go.
It makes
Look
it
at
way
that.
easier.
Nice. And the logo's right there too.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've had little magnets in mine, where you tape it to the inside of your humidor, you stick your Boveda pack in there,
Yeah.
and then as soon as you shut it, it just falls down. So it's great that you guys put strong magnets in there, because those cheap magnets, you can't deal with it.
All the hardware features on this, we didn't cut any corner on it. We wanted to make these just like the most expensive humidors that you can buy, starting with the hinges. So those are the more expensive. That's the high end hinges. So they're heavy duty, heavyweight. The way that they open, a lot of humidors that are inexpensive, that come out of China, two things. One, they open too far, so they lean back. But a well-designed humidor goes maximum of 90 degrees, so that lid doesn't go more than 90 degrees. That's an aesthetic thing and a quality thing as well. So those are 90 degree or even 89, 88 degree hinges. The other thing, when you close it, you look at the hinges in the back. A lot of humidors that you see, they don't make those routers smooth to the back end. So those are in the back.
Nice.
A lot of them that you buy, the China-made humidors, those that protrude out the back side. Another attention to detail to make sure those are, when it's sideways like that, you can't even see it on the camera.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, it's amazing. Even Alex and I unboxed this right, prior to this podcast. And as soon as he opened up the lid, I'm like, that thing is beautiful.
That's great. Great to hear the first impression. I mean, that's what we wanted. If you unbox it, open it up, and you're like, wow, there's something different about it compared to what you've seen before.
Yeah, I mean, it's just elegance, right? You see all these other humidors that are, meant to be put on in your office or just on your countertop. But there's always something, like you said, there's always something cheap about it, whether it's a hardware or they just put a bunch of graphics on it. But I just like how classy and sleek this looks, where if you have it on your, in your office on a countertop, it's not going to draw attention. But when you see it, you end up falling in love with it.
I don't know. It's a great talking
Point.
piece of me. At least I'd say it's beautiful.
It is, but it doesn't overpower the room, is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
It looks nice.
More of a universe, something that could fit in any setting.
Yeah.
And so we went with more of a modern European elegance to it that would fit whether it's a traditional space or whether it's a more modern environment in your home or office. And so it kind of bridges that transition between those two types of settings.
Yeah, I think one of the first things that Zach said when we opened it was, that would look really nice on my desk. And I said, yeah, I bet it would, Zach.
I'm trying.
Oh my God.
I'm trying to take it from
You're
Alex.
trying to take it already.
Claiming ownership. Well, one thing you'll notice too is that there's no need to have a hygrometer. So a lot of the things you see coming out of other countries is they try to put a hygrometer in there, which obviously serves a function. But that's what you needed in the old days. You needed to know when when the humidity was not ideal, and most of the time those are inaccurate. And with the Boveda humidor, you do not need a hygrometer because you know that humidor is going to be at 69%. And the way that we developed it and tested it was so that it will go 6 months. And part of the uniqueness of this humidor is that we'll have an auto ship program where people can sign up, and at 6 months, the next 320 will show up at your doorstep, so you know when you need to replace it.
So is that what this little QR code back here is for? You can access an account directly?
Exactly.
It's awesome.
Yeah. Pretty simple. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you scan that, you can set up your account and get set up on the auto ship replenishment, and it'll just show up every 6 months. Your built-in reminder.
No, I was just gonna say, when you brought up, not the having the need for a hydrometer, in this case, not needing it. A lot of times too, when you get a hydrometer from a humidor, it's not accurate, so you have to kind of set it to make sure that it is giving you an accurate reading.
Calibrate.
And a lot of times what I do, which, people might argue is good or bad, I just say, listen, if there's Boveda in there and the pack lasts for, at least 2 months, I know that it's all good. It's going to be at, like, for my case, 69% or 65%. So I just throw a Boveda pack in there and I'm like, yeah, it'll be fine. As long as it's not like drying up too quickly, then I'll know that it's holding the humidity in there and that it's set at the perfect humidity level.
Yeah, I can't tell you the last time I actually looked at a hydrometer, to be honest with you.
Exactly. Well, the fact is they throw you off more than they give you some, the kind of information. They give wrong information, so they're throwing people off is the problem. And if people really understood, all the hygrometers come out of China, and they really cost pennies to make, 25 cents, 50 cents, or whatever. Even the digital ones aren't that accurate. We've done tests in our office where we'll take a dozen hygrometers, whether they're digital or analog, put them in a humidor bag at 69% or even at 72 or 70. It doesn't matter. And they are plus or minus. The worst ones are plus or minus 10 points. Some of them are dialed in fairly accurate, but you don't know if you have an accurate hygrometer. But with Boveda as a standard, one thing a lot of people don't know. So in our background with when we founded our company, the two co-inventors retired from General Mills. They were in the food industry. And so at the labs in General Mills, for example, they'd have instruments to measure humidity and all of that needed to be precise. And what they do is they would send those to independent labs that would calibrate those instruments. And they would use basically our formula. Let's say sodium chloride is table salt, and that's 75% relative humidity when you saturate it in water. And so our formulas are known standards. And so you measure the accuracy of a hygrometer using our technology, not the inverse or the reverse of that.
That's awesome.
Well, yeah, I mean, like we said too, like Boveda truly has made a name for themselves in the industry where people see that name and they know that they can trust them completely. So whatever formulas you guys are using, obviously that's going to be like probably the proprietary formulas that we would use here in the industry in terms of regulating it and using it for our cigars to keep them safe.
Yeah, exactly. So the world knows based on the chemistry books that table salt is 75.5% relative humidity when you saturate in water. So if you take that formula, there it is. But what is proprietary about Boveda and the scientists that in our original founding and the inventors, co-developers of the product, came up with this formula for 69, which is just as stable and accurate as 75. It was really, really kind of lucky on our part, but also just the ingenuity and the expertise of of these guys was so enormous. And so that 69% is 75, everybody knows is too high for cigars for a number of reasons. One, it's above the point at which mold can grow, but also when you have that much moisture in a cigar, the cigar ages differently with that level of moisture. It also disguises a lot of the flavor and nuance and the natural oils, the natural sugars that are in tobacco from a flavor profile. It also impacts the burn and the aroma that you get, all of that. So when we studied this with Carlos Fuente Jr. and other major manufacturers, not just him, but he's really probably on the forefront back in the early 2000s when we started working with Carlito and understanding how cigars behave one, from a flavor profile, but number two, from how they age in an aging room even, and how those tobaccos are blend together. 69% is really the sweet spot for all tobacco blends. And one could argue that maybe a Cameroon wrapper could handle a little bit more than that, like up to 72 maximum. But 69% is really the ideal level for aging cigars and also having them ready in a smoke-ready state to enjoy the little subtle nuances in the tobacco.
Yeah, I think that 69% is usually our go-to for the most part. And then, like, if you have Cubans or something, I usually keep it at 75 because they smoke better on the drier side, at least in my
65.
experience. What did I say?
75.
No, definitely not 75.
He was testing us. He was testing all of us. Yeah.
No, yeah, but so 65 for the Cubans, to keep them a little bit on the drier side. But yeah, I mean, 69%, that's pretty much like almost every Boveda pack that we ever got. Throw it in there, and you know that it's going to be great for the long haul. And if I want to like age cigars for a super long time, I sometimes would go 65 just because to me, I feel like that has a better experience for me when I'm focusing on like years and years of aging.
Sure. Yeah, there's so many preferences for people on what they enjoy to smoke the cigars at. What we learned early on when we first started the company, one of the biggest struggles that we had was having people truly believe that we could do what we say we do. So when we had 72%, everybody has known in the industry 70, 72 is the ideal, relative humidity for cigars. But when we said we could come in and actually truly regulate it, we weren't just a one-way device. You would add water to it and it would spike, and then the humidity would fall, and then you refill it again, and you get all these fluctuations, and they thought they were achieving what they wanted. But as we came out with different relative humidities, it was really to prove that we could do regulation at 65, 69, 72%, and we could be precise at that level. And so again, when we developed Boveda for humidors, that was the original product line name for humidors back in 2005. It was to prove to people that we could do what we say. And we got pushed aside a lot from most people in the industry, like, yeah, whatever. I mean, they were so jaded by the one-way systems that they couldn't believe that somebody perfected the way to do it inside a container as we did.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming that early on, it's just the fact that it's technically like a new technology. That's what made it seem almost unbelievable. And I mean, really, like when I look at now, like those, I don't even know what you would call them, those kind of hydrometers where you would, not a hydrometer, but those humidification devices where you put the distilled water in there. And that's what's kind of, I honestly, I
think they were called Humi.
I'm going to be honest with you, like I never actually learned how to really do it properly and trust it at all. So thankfully, Boveda was already a thing by then. And that's just what we started using from the beginning.
When we launched our company, we launched in 97. We launched the Boveda brand at the end of 2004. But in any case, it took all the way up to that time. Nobody believed us, like Tim said. Nobody believed that we could really remove moisture or add it depending on what's needed and adapt to the environment or the needs of that humidor itself. They just thought bullshit is what they were thinking in their mind. That's why the three levels when we launched Boveda, it was 65, 69, 72 for two reasons. One, tobacco behaves differently. Another one is to break that, to prove to them that we can, when we say we dial it into that level, that's what we mean. Here, you can take your pick, choose what humidity you want. That was the game changer, I think, in the psychology of the marketplace by having the options available.
Giving people a preference was really big. And Sean hit on a really important point there, is that different tobaccos behave differently at different relative humidities. So when we started working with Carlito in the early 2000s, we found that through that is most people don't know this, but everything that we put into the Fuente boxes, so you see that Fuente ships everything with a Boveda or at that point, Humidipack. So in the Fuente Opus X boxes, that's a 65%. Everything else was technically a 69%. But he understood that the Opus would absorb more moisture, that it was more hygroscopic and that it wanted more moisture because it was a thick, oily wrapper. You take a Cameroon wrapper, you can get away with a 72% with that because it's a thinner. It needs a little bit more moisture to be pliable. Everybody has their opinions on Cuba. Cuban cigars, 65. I mean, you can get away with 65 or 69. But we learned a lot through that process that we gave opportunities to consumers to say, like you did, Alex, with I'm going to store some at 65. I'm going to store some at 69. And some people store theirs at 72. But it just gave them the opportunity to be able to truly enjoy that cigar and get the nuances from it due to the moisture content that, the water activity that is in that particular cigar.
And I think that's something that isn't maybe talked about enough sometimes, is that depending on what the cigar is, meaning like the tobacco, the region, or what type of seed they use, exactly, that will change essentially how you want to store it with humidity. I don't think that's talked about enough, because a lot of people, especially when they start out, is they get their humidor, they have it at, let's say, 69%, and they'll have a bunch of different cigars in there, and then they'll realize that some of them actually smoke, better or worse, and they don't figure out why. They're like, listen, my humidor is at 69%. It should be perfect. But like you said, if you have, a Cuban, it might smoke worse on the wet side. And then if you have a Cameroon wrapper, it actually needs more moisture. So, and it's usually like at 69%, like you said, it's usually not a huge difference, but some people will notice and say, why does it taste different? Or why do I have, burning issues? So I think it's great that we're talking about this now to let people know, like, hey, there is a reason you guys have those three main options.
Exactly. I mean, maybe this is a simple way to understand it. So if, let's say, the target moisture content is 13.5 or let's say 14 max, but 13.5 moisture content. To do that on a Cuban blend, you might need to store it closer to the 65 range. But if you want that 13.5% on a Cameroon wrapper or blend, a different blend, then you have to achieve that same 13.5 to 14% moisture content, you need to store it close to 70 or just above 70. And so that's the difference. So you're still achieving the same moisture content of the cigar, but it's the relative humidity that has to differ to get you there, depending on that blend. And that's because of the oil content that's in the tobacco leaves and how they absorb moisture and how they retain moisture.
No, I mean, yeah, I'm glad we're bringing the scientific aspect into it, because that's also something I don't think is understood in the industry as far as consumers. I mean, obviously, if you are a manufacturer, I think that's something that we definitely need to understand. But most people don't really get the whole humidity thing. I mean, obviously, the basics, which is like you have to have the leaves at a certain humidity with a certain moisture content, or else it's just not going to smoke right.
Yeah, that's why one reason why we like 69, because people want simplicity. So sometimes when if we start talking about the different levels, they're thinking, oh my gosh, I don't know if I'm using the right one. 69 is going to be a great number, and your cigars are going to age well. They're going to taste great. You might say, well, I can do a little bit better on a Cameroon, but they're going to, a lot of people aren't going to notice that difference. If you're Carlos Fuente, you'll pick, or see someone who's really into it and has a discerning palate, they can notice those nuances. Maybe Cubans, you prefer them a little bit drier, but 69 is a great one. Nobody can go wrong if they throw a 69. And that's why our Boveda Humidor will include the 69s in all of it, because you don't have to have any anxiety about, am I doing it right based on the blends that I enjoy? You're going to be just dialed in rock solid on that, even if they're worse. Sure, if you want to experiment with it, go, we don't discourage that at all. But any consumer should have the confidence to store those at 69% relative humidity.
No,
What we do is we provide an opportunity for people to geek and nerd out on it. You know, you can, we've done so many tests over the years where we've taken the same cigar, stored it at 65, 69, 72, 75, and have let them rest for 30 days and then do a little smoke test on all those. And you put different cigars. You do the same cigar, but then you put in, let's say 3 or 4 different. So you throw in a Padron, maybe an Opus, you throw in a Don Carlos, and then you throw in a Connecticut shade, and you put those all in the same container. They get to 75, 72, 69, 65, and then you smoke those. And you get to appreciate the differences of each of those at those levels. And you can decide for yourself, like, oh, I really enjoyed the Connecticut at 72 because it brought out more of the character in it, or the Cuban at 65. I thought that it brought out, the nuances better in there. But, so we have a lot of customers that, Alex, I think you mentioned it. You keep some at 65 and some at 69. So it just gives them the opportunity to, if you really want to, geek out on it, you can.
No, absolutely. And the question that we have for you then is, obviously we're going to need to put some cigars in this humidor very soon. So give us a few that you guys personally would recommend we put in the humidor, and we can start with Sean.
Okay, great. Well, first of all, variety is really important. People say, "Hey, what cigars do you smoke?" And yes, there's probably a handful that we always gravitate toward because there's so many. We live in the best time in the cigar industry in the history of cigars, in my mind. There's so many producers that do so awesome foundation cigars. Great, of course. Padron and Fuente are just absolute standards. Stuff Pepin makes are, standard, and on and on. AJ Fernandez, standard, phenomenal, and way beyond all of that as well. But I like to. I love Ecuador Habano wrappers a lot. I like Ecuador Sumatra a lot. I love San Andreas a lot. So I do enjoy Padron a lot for that San Andreas. Even some Tatuaje with their Tuxtla cigars are phenomenal. I think all Tatuajes are just great in my mind. From the Fuente lineup, their sun-grown is phenomenal. Opus is still in our mind just the standard that we kind of grew up with, let's just say. And so that always holds a special spot in our heart. Fuente Rosado, those are just the industry icons that are, to me, are always in the humidor, as well as some other ones, but those are always in there. The other one, by the way, hands down, anything that comes out of La Flor Dominicana is just absolutely awesome. And they have cigars that are, medium. They have full-bodied, and both of them are just blended perfect. So, let me throw one out there. The Lennox is the most underrated out there. That thing is just awesome and complex. I think it's just a fabulous cigar from LFD. And their little cabinet number 3s for a little walk at night before you go to bed is always nice.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you guys actually did hook us up with one of the LFDs here. But the Lennox for sure is, I think, my personal favorite of LFD. That cigar just hits every time.
Yeah, they do a tremendous job. I mean, Sean and I have similar tasting profiles. We enjoy a lot of the same ones, but find ourselves always, sticking with a lot of different Fuente blends, and then you go to Padron, you go to La Flor Dominicana, Foundation. He's got some great stuff going on. Pete Johnson over at Tatuaje, I think he's an incredible blender. I mean, he's got so many good cigars. The Coho New 2012s right now are phenomenal. But we like that variety. We kind of run all over the board, and we work with so many different cigar makers too that we're benefited to the fact that we work with Altadas. I mean, they're making some great stuff as well. Some of these special editions that AJ Fernandez has done with some people are great as well. So we find ourselves smoking a wide variety. But we have some staples that we continue to go back to just because, you know what you're going to get. You enjoy it every time.
Have you guys smoked the Solus, the LFD Solus?
No, not yet.
No.
We do.
Get some of those. Those are medium bodied, but full of flavor and balanced. Really nice. Those are great cigars.
Yeah, I know that one of the cigar lounges close to Tampa, Central Cigars, they just got them in. So we'll be there this weekend. Maybe we should pick those up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely, you need to do it. It's a really good cigar.
Yeah, and then our sponsor too, Samprai, actually, like I said earlier in the beginning, they have Boveda in every single one of their boxes that you get. And they have the signature seal on the side of the boxes to let you know that all their cigars are kept extra fresh.
Yeah, that's such a unique cigar. When you said you were smoking that, because Hochi, we work with Hochi a lot with the Palma, and that is a really unique cigar. It's an expensive cigar too, right? I mean, they're not cheap.
No, they're definitely not cheap. I mean, I think average is around 40 for most of the cigars. Yeah, and then the golds will go $75 or $100 if you get that Super Lancero.
Yeah. Well, one more cigar that's, I think, off the radar. When you think of Rocky Patel, there's so many different blends that Rocky makes. But his sun-grown, the red label sun-grown, it's a sun-grown, I believe it's even a Sumatra seed, actually, believe it or not, if I'm not mistaken. That is a underrated cigar as well.
Yeah, and very affordable, too. That's the great thing, is it's accessible.
Yeah, a lot of cigars from Rocky Patel, I think what we see is a lot of newcomers go to Rocky Patel because, he has so many affordable blends too that are great for consumers. And that's one of them, a lot of from the Edge series. And he's done obviously very well and he has a huge portfolio. And that's why I think a lot of people that we see in the comments and stuff, they always mention Rocky Patel because that's either what they started with or they just have so many options to choose from.
Yeah, he's got that for sure, as much as anybody, really, doesn't he?
No, I think so too. Yeah, no, those are all great choices too. I mean, I was gonna say, I'm sure you guys.
How about you guys? What do you guys like to smoke these days?
I usually smoke the Basic cigar. That's our own brand that we sell, and then the Samparais. I really like Foundation. Anything from Steve Saka is usually really good.
Yeah, Saga, yeah.
Tatuaje, AJ Fernandez, a lot lately.
Yeah, you bought a box of New Worlds recently.
Yeah, I killed it. Almost done with a whole box of Padrones I bought 2 weeks ago. I love 1926, 1964, you name it. I mean, I'll smoke anything.
If it's got a year, Jared's smoking it.
Regular Padron line is awesome. Just bought a box of 4,000s and 3,000s. Those are so awesome. Great for the golf course too, because they always burn well, whether it's windy or not, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's strong enough in terms of the construction where it can handle, harsh environments outside.
Yeah. When it comes to me, darker the better, stronger the better. I really like the flavor, Padron or any cigar, just like the Chivo Maduro, Camacho, for example. I really like the strength, the intensity, the flavor. Whether it's with a coffee, whiskey, it doesn't really matter. Yeah. By itself with water, still good with me.
And a fun fact about Jared is he actually smokes any cigar you give him in sub 30 minutes. So that's why he goes through the box so quickly.
Yeah, when we were at Central Cigars, 2 weekends ago, I smoked like 8 cigars, back to back. I mean, it just
that was in a 3-hour period, by the way. No.
That is great.
How many cigars are you guys smoking a day?
I smoke probably 3 to 5 every day.
Yeah, it can depends on the day. 1 to 5. I think this is the 3rd today right now, but it can vary. I mean, shoot, we go to PCA, you go to the trade show, you can rip your 10 of them.
Yeah, easily.
It's easy to do, but certainly 1 to 2 to 3 is pretty average. When you can smoke in the office, that's the beauty of we smoke when our offices in Florida, which are out of our home, and then when we're back in the corporate office, we have ventilation. We've put ventilation into the system here, so it's easy to smoke and do the great air exchange. But we have the privilege to be able to enjoy it and work.
We take 2,600 cubic feet a minute out of these rooms here, And then in the wintertime, when it's really cold, the air you have to replace the air, otherwise it doesn't remove the air. And so coming in, there's a electronic power heater that heats that cold air. So even if it's 10 degrees below zero outside, that's heated as it comes back in to do the makeup air so that the exhaust system works right. Then we've got timers in the enclosed offices and conference rooms that we have smoking. And then we have ozone that runs when we're gone for 3 hours that cleans the air afterward.
Mm.
So you want to talk about geeking out. You can geek out with air exchanges pretty heavily.
I was going to say, I need that in my house so I could just start smoking in there.
Well, yeah. I was going to say,
you know what? The society has kicked us out of every other building, so you might as well build a home that can do it.
Exactly. And people that do need to be geeking out about this is cigar lounges. I mean, there's some great cigar lounges that have the perfect system where it replaces air. Like, I mean, up in Michigan, we were talking to some guys. They said they replace the air every 3 seconds. Like, that's how great their system is. Because you don't want to go into a cigar lounge and have the cloud of smoke that's following you everywhere. And
we've all gone in the garage afterwards because they smell like cigarettes.
We've all been in cigar lounges that do a horrible job of exchanging air, and it's not as enjoyable. I don't. We're fine, right? We're not going to complain because we're smoking indoors, but there is a difference when you're in a good system. You recognize it. You're like, wow, they're doing a good job here.
And no one likes to cry while they smoke a cigar because the smoke's burning your eyes so bad.
Well, I will say, I mean,
when you're burning it in 20 minutes, yeah.
Well, I gotta capture all that flavor.
System.
No, I was going to say, honestly, I went to a cigar lounge when I was on a trip up in New Hampshire, and they had a rule where you can't open windows, which, like, okay, that's usually normal, but their exhaust system was almost non-existent. I mean, I smoked a cigar for about 10 minutes and I started feeling nauseous just because of all the secondhand smoke I was getting, because whatever system they were using was archaic, if they had a system at all.
I was going to say it was probably non-existent. They probably were just using some smoke eaters and then, called it a day.
Maybe, but I felt like crap after that, honestly. It was pretty bad. That was the one time where I was like, I got to go. This is awful.
Yeah, the only way to go is you have to remove the air from the building. You can't, if you try to filter it, that works for only so long, and then it doesn't do a good enough job. You got to remove it.
That's the thing, especially in a public, like building or like PCA. Yeah, that got bad this year. But, you have a cigar lounge. How many people are coming in there a day to smoke? Those filters will need to be changed, once a week, probably once every 2 weeks, just to keep up with it, quote unquote. So yeah, you go into cigar lounges where they actually remove the air. I mean, it's night and day. By morning, if you go there, first one's in the morning, you're not even going to notice it's a cigar lounge.
Yeah. And I think you brought this up when we were at PCA. So you established that they weren't actually removing the air when we were there.
Yeah. Yeah. So at PCA this year in New Orleans, they had exhaust fans in that warehouse, but they did not turn them on. So I think they just were utilizing a bunch of smoke eaters like the one you have behind you. Yeah, the rabbit airs. And they put rabbit airs all in the hallway and like different spots. And I'm like, with all these people smoking in here, at least air it out like once every hour,
Yeah.
But
possible to combat it. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think they took into consideration how much volume of like smoke would be created because it was a very large warehouse, very tall ceilings. So I think they just assumed that like, oh, it's a big building, the smoke will dissipate, you know?
3 or 4 smoke eaters, that should do it.
Yeah. It got to the point where you weren't allowed to smoke in the main hallway. But so much smoke was seeping through that they started putting rabbit airs outside. Yeah. And I'm like, this isn't going to work.
Yeah, because when you first walked in, I didn't see any.
No, they weren't
one
there.
Or two.
Yeah.
And then they realized what was going on, and I guess they might have went to the rabbit air booth and was like, hey, we need to throw some more out here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you see the people that are standing by the so-called security by the doors, and they all have masks on.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. They were not ready for that. Hopefully next year they'll figure it out.
And meanwhile, I think I smoked 8 cigars in there. And then I remember we were walking down to actually go to Samparai, and I just turned behind me, and behind was they had Davidoff, La Aurora, Padron, like in that grand area. You couldn't see like 10 feet. It was such a thick cloud of smoke. And I'm like, we were just in that,
That's like remember the big smokes in at the Marriott Marquis in New York City? Did you guys ever go to one of those?
We haven't been to one, but yeah, I've followed up with it, and I think
way back in the day, and those were low ceilings, and literally that cloud cover of smoke was.
These guys weren't even born then.
Yeah, you're probably right.
You guys didn't go there in a stroller?
No, my mom wouldn't let me.
My mom wouldn't let me, but my dad did.
No, literally, as Sean was saying, the ceiling was so low, and you packed in 1,000 to 1,500 people in this small little conference room in the Marriott, New York, and you were like doing this to talk to somebody to look and see who they were. It was crazy.
But back then, you didn't think much of it, really. You noticed it, and all of it was bad, but that was a different day and age.
Yeah, that was
nowadays
so normal.
That was the normal kind of.
Yeah, it was back when you go to anyone's house and you could light up a cigarette, no problem.
That's true. I mean, I remember, young flying to Europe, going through Zurich, and my dad smoked cigarettes. So we would always go into the smoking area, and they had glass. It was literally like a glass room in the middle of the airport that you walk into. And if you were on one side of that glass room, you couldn't see through the other side. Like, that's how much smoke is in there. And I always wondered why they made it glass. And then I went to the one in Atlanta and saw how yellow all these walls were. And I'm like, oh, they made it glass so they could clean it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, you used to go smoke on airplanes. That was
The good old days.
one. You were in 28 versus 29. 29 was smoking to the back of the airplane. There was no. You got the smoking section.
Row 28.
Yeah, I think we need to bring that back, honestly.
Yeah, just cigars though.
Except in first class this time.
That's right. No cigarettes, but you can smoke cigars.
Yeah.
No vapes either.
Yeah, no vapes.
Yeah, exactly.
Just start one airline that allows people to smoke cigars from New York over to Europe. Yeah, that'd be great.
Honestly, I think that would do great.
I bet it would.
I would go on it.
I bet if they did that and they had one plane going back and forth, you could smoke cigars. That thing would be, well, I wonder what that would look like. That'd be worse than Marriott Marquis. That would be bad.
There's only one way to find out.
The other thing is, I think on an airplane, you can build ventilation in there. They do have ventilation. I think that smoke could move out of there pretty fast. It's not like those are sealed tight. You've got ventilation that blows that right out, however they do it.
Yeah, they're exchanging air on airplanes. It shouldn't be a problem at all. No.
It wasn't a problem back then. It's not going to be a problem now.
True.
Someone's got to do it.
We'll just put it on the Concorde. So, listen, we'll smoke 2. Jared will smoke 5 cigars.
Low numbers.
New York to England. It'll be perfect.
To measure how long the flight is, how many cigars Jared.
Yeah.
It's an 8-hour flight. Jared's got 8 cigars.
That's a minimum.
They're probably all double Coronas.
Exactly, yeah. He's taking a break in between each one.
Little nappy poo.
That's awesome.
Well, we commented earlier, but we love that you guys are wearing the Boveda shirts. That's awesome.
No, absolutely. And again, I appreciate you guys for hooking up. We even got, we got a Boveda brand cutter and we got the lighter too. Again, you guys hooked us up with some great cigars too.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, and of course, the main star of the show, this humidor here, which is absolutely beautiful. We're going to be obviously talking about this for a long time. And, since we're actually about at that time, give us some final thoughts, about the humidor and about Boveda in general that you want the listeners to know.
Well, I would say the humidor, we have high expectations for it, of course. We, first and foremost, have it because we love it ourselves. and we love everything about it, and we love the simplicity of it, and that fact that it can be in a very expensive home or can sit in an apartment and sit just perfectly on there. And the price point at $299, we think it fits. And so we think that we've got an opportunity here to really move a lot of these, just because there's a need and a void that exists out there for this type of humidor at this price range.
Yeah.
One more thing I just add, we sell in other industries at Boveda. So, cigars was the first industry that we went in. We're passionate about cigars. Tim and I have always been, back even in college and just after college in the 90s, we had a passion for cigars, and we love them. We had an awe of those cigar makers like Carlos Fuente. And so we recognize we're not the star of the show in the industry. The stars are the things that we're smoking right here, and those that make the stars. They're what it's all about, and this is what we're all about enjoying. And our goal as a company is just to maximize that enjoyment we get from the fine luxuries in life, like a fine cigar. And so that's our goal, is just to elevate that experience.
Yeah, exactly. Sean said it. We're excited about the humidor. You hear cigar makers say that they blend and they make cigars that they like. A lot of times, consumers will tell them what they would like to have. But most cigar makers make cigars for what they like. Well, we made this humidor to be what we would want it to be, assuming that that's what the mass consumer would want to have in their home as well. So that was the theory behind it. Make it good enough for what we like, and then it should be good enough for everybody else.
No, absolutely. I think at the end of the day, as we see in this industry, from you guys to the actual cigar makers and the blenders, is when you have a passion for it, you want to create something that is excellent. And even if you're creating something that you personally enjoy very much, you're going to have a huge market of people that are going to want to experience that as well, because you're so passionate about creating it. You put all your time and energy into it, and you want to see it succeed so well, whether it is Boveda, whether it is Cigars. And that's where a lot of the success comes from in this industry, is people that are super passionate about it. Because we talked about this with almost every guest from the industry we have on, is if you're in this industry and you're not passionate about cigars, you're killing yourself, man. Like, you have to be passionate about it.
Yeah, you're in the wrong space. Well, think of this. We just celebrated our 28th anniversary. So we started the company in early July 9th, almost. Well, today's the 9th.
Yeah. There you go.
Official paperwork says July 9. Yep.
Yeah, July 9th.
Congrats.
28th anniversary. And
wow.
Even though it's been almost 3 decades, we look at it and say, man, we're still, passionate. We love it. And almost 30 years has flown by. It's because we love what we do, and it's amazing to look at the journey.
We're glad to host you on your anniversary, actually. That's awesome.
Yeah.
What a coincidence.
We weren't even thinking about that before the call until right now. Exactly. We really appreciate your support, you guys, and really appreciate all you do, and the comments that you've made about the brand and the product and everything. It means a lot to us. Thank you. And thank you for the opportunity and the time that you spent with us, to share this, what we really love and what we hope will make a big impact for cigar smokers around the world.
No, absolutely. And we appreciate you guys for joining us. We're happy to have you, and we're happy to showcase this beautiful humidor to the rest of the world. Appreciate your time. Appreciate all the conversation. And thank you guys for watching. Make sure you subscribe, and make sure you check out this brand new humidor from Boveda. I always do that at the end of the day. Like, I always go back to the mispronunciation.
A lot of people do.
All right, cool.
Get this guy out of here.
Hopefully, you guys will invite us back. We'd love to come back.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Talk about other stuff too. So.
That'd be amazing. Yeah. Yeah. If you guys are in Tampa, maybe we could take a Tampa trip.
Do it. Well, Sean lives in Tampa, and I live down near Fort Myers.
Fort Myers.
We can get together. Yeah.
We'll figure.
We can play around at golf.
That's it.
There you go.
I'll do a golf podcast.
We'll do something great with you guys in the future.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
where I live in Tampa, John Gruden's a member at this golf course also, and so he's working with Barstool Sports.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
And so they've done a podcast out on the golf course, where they play around a golf, and they've got their little, what do you call it? The things that fly around the
drone.
Oh, the drone.
The drone. They got a drone following them around with a camera and everything, and they're doing their podcast out on the golf course.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's amazing.
We'll have to do something similar. Yeah, definitely. We're going to talk to you guys more and we'll set something up. But again, this has been fantastic. Looking forward to seeing the success of this product and the continued success of Boveda up to, 30 plus years. That's fantastic. So again, we appreciate you guys for tuning in. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Likewise, look forward to it.
Take care.
Take care.
Take care, guys. Thank you.
See you guys. Thanks.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Cigar Guys Podcast. Make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can stay up to date with all the latest episodes. Looking for short form content? Check out all our social media accounts in the description below. And now, a final word from our sponsors.
What if every cigar was considered vintage? What if every cigar that we made was that perfect experience? And so that passion drove us to create Sans Pareil, a cigar without equal. The inspiration between Sans Pareil is 100% all about quality. Everything that we enjoy in our cigars, everything from the tasting notes to the burn, to the aroma, to the way the cigar lights, to the packaging, everything is focused on Sans Pareil cigars. And that's where we came up with our name, Sans Pareil, which is French for without equal, unparalleled. And we take every cigar that we make to that level, making sure that if it isn't something that inspires you to do something more, then it's not part of the portfolio, and that's what drives us every day.